Okay, so I see people all the time asking on the Reddit or places or sending me messages on how to play Zerker. So I figured I'd give a full video going through every character and how to fight each one with Zerk. I think I have enough experience with it. Um, on top of that, before I start, I'm going to go through some fundamentals that you should know with Zerk, just for the sake of doing things. The first is you're going to have to feint a lot. Most of your damage will usually come from either letting the unblockable rip or by getting a ton of lights off. Some things and tips and tricks you should know, especially as you get to the higher levels of play. The side dodge attacks are going to be very obvious, so that will get blocked. What you can usually do is throw it. The other thing that's going to get blocked is the heavy right after. So a very easy thing you can do is feint that into a light on the opposite side. You'll get a lot of damage off, especially because people are going to always try and parry this heavy that comes out after the side attack. On top of that, a lot of your damage is going to come from the unblockable mix-up. Usually you can just let a light attack whiff and then just go straight into your unblockable mix-up. If you find a lot of people are dodging this, you can cancel it into the guard break. If you find people are abusing side dodge attacks, you can just cancel straight up and just wait for the parry attempt. Usually you can get a lot of damage off just by throwing out lights at certain points. I would be very careful of throwing the top light, because a lot of people will parry that as it comes out a little bit slower than your side attacks. Your zone can go straight into your combos. So let's say you were to zone, you can delay it and go into a light. As for delayed lights, it means just try not to buffer them, kind of wait a second before you decide to throw out your light or heavy after your previous attack. It'll make it come out a little bit faster. In a duel or any fight in general, I would usually attempt to whiff the dodge light, forward dodge light, just so I can just quickly start my unblockable mix-up. Sometimes you can get it off on people, usually assassins. If people are very parry happy, don't be afraid to change that up as well for another mind game with the heavy. A lot of people will sometimes fail the parry timing on that because they just don't expect you to throw out a huge heavy. As for other heavies, you can do a double heavy feint because if people are trying to parry your lights after a heavy, try and keep it unpredictable. So for example, let's say you're doing this constantly on one side, make sure to, if you do that, at least go to some other side at some point. I would also be very careful of throwing out a light attack. So let's say you feint a heavy into a light. Try not to do it on the same side, because what will happen is if people are trying to parry your heavy from one side and you throw a light on the same side, they might end up parrying your light if they fail the timing, which a lot of people do. So definitely try to throw out lights from opposite sides. But again, if people are starting to see that, so let's say you were to zone and you always throw out a light on that left side, from now zone and then just throw it on the right. You know, it's just, change it up, keep it different. Another thing is be very careful of throwing out, I think I said earlier, those side dodge attacks. You can keep the distance just right, such that you can make it very vague on whether or not that light attack is going to track and follow it. Another thing you can do is you can start your zone from very far out, and it'll end up tracking them. If people aren't blocking, you know, I catch people out all the time on that if they're not blocking the right direction. Another one is you very rarely are going to use the backwards zone. I wouldn't even recommend doing it. It's very situational, usually mostly in 4v4s, but I mean, even then I hardly use it. Your openers, just to open people up, you can soft feint. Your soft feint is when you don't have to actually cancel with circle on PS4. You don't actually have to cancel the heavy, you can just straight dodge after doing it. It can be used for just some mix-up potential. Usually what I'll do is just throw out a pretend heavy and just see what I can do from it. Yeah, that's about it. I think those are the basic fundamentals of Berserker. Let's get right into the character selection. Okay, so before I go on, I should also mention the punishes that Zerk has. Off of a heavy parry, you have a couple options. I like to just do the confirmed light. It's like a very quick light that comes out. It's very special to Zerk, similar to how a Shinobi has his follow-up light. Other people like to, you can do a zone, but honestly, like I said, I think that in terms of mix-up potential and just stamina protection, it's much easier to just do the light. After a light parry, you're going to get a free top heavy. Off of a guard break, you're going to get a free side heavy. Unfortunately, your top heavy comes out too slow to get a heavy off after a guard break. Top heavy. After a wall splat, you're going to get a free top heavy. And after a out of stamina throw, you will get 2 side heavies. You'll just follow up with it, and then the third one you can cancel and try and look for a parry, because that'd be great if they're out of stam. They try and fail a parry, and you can get them to fall over again. Another just couple things with Zerk. In 4v4 game modes, you know, when revenge is your best friend, unless you're a honor person, but honestly I think you should pop revenge whenever you can in 4v4s. What you'll do is to win those situations, you can either zone, you can usually throw out heavies. What is the great thing to do is similar to if you're an Aramusha player, you just continue your infinite chain, because, you know, when in revenge you have a ton of stamina, but you lock onto someone else after each attack. So you'd light and then unlock to someone else, and then heavy, light, heavy, and you can do your infinite chain like that, but just constantly locking onto other people. It's really helpful to do that. Another thing is that you're sprinting heavy, so this attack here, what'll happen is you can use this to chase people. It's a really great gap closer. It lunges people from very far away, and there are some cases when, there's a clip at the end that I'll show you, where if the opponent is the right distance away, what you'll do is if you hold down this R2 when you dash forward, so you'll dash and then hold R2, you'll cross your axes and you'll actually chase after them. It's a very cool attack. I really enjoy it. Another thing is, if you are out of stam, which you'll find will happen a lot, especially if you're learning Zerk, or your attacks are getting blocked a lot, you'll run out of stam pretty quickly and you'll get out of stamina. Once this happens, people for some reason become even more predictable when you're out of stam. They're going to start pressuring you, and they pretty much just look for feints or look for guard breaks. It's kind of weird how this is the only thing that people do a lot. It just kind of happens. In this situation, and you can use this for Zerk, you can use this for any other character, just throw out a light. Like, even though it's going to be a really slow one, I mean, I'll show you a clip at the end where I'm out of stam, and this dude just, I wait for a second because I know he's going to try and guard break, and I just throw a light, and I cancel him out of guard breaks twice when I'm out of stam. It's the craziest thing. Try it out. Don't be afraid of it. Obviously, if you do get parried, that's unfortunate. You can't use it for everything, but a lot of times it works. And okay, let's get into the champs or heroes. Okay, so because I don't know how popular this video is, I don't know how many Berserker mains there are, and for the sake of logistically editing everything and with a buddy of mine, I'm just going to go through each hero individually. I won't have any recordings or clips with them. If you really need examples, I can make another video showing what I'm saying, but otherwise I'm just going to talk about each hero and how you'd fight them with Zerk. I'll go in order of Knights, Vikings, and then Samurai, and we'll take it from there. Please let me know if I do miss anything, or add to it, or if there's something wrong. do let me know. Okay, I'm going to do it in one take. Let's see if we can do it. So Warden, right now he's pretty strong with his shield bash. What you can do is he's going to try and zone a lot. So as Zerk, you can either try and deflect that or parry it. Just be ready to have your guard on the left side, your left side. Be ready for that. What you can do, something that's really fun, is a lot of Wardens will try to throw a top heavy and then cancel that looking for a crushing counter, which is that light attack, the top light attack. So what you can actually do with Zerk is when you see them do that, that can happen both just off of their opening top heavy and then also the unblockable feint into the crushing counter. They can do both. But if they do that, because you're a Zerk main now and you know about feinting your heavies and you're used to it, when they throw out the heavy, you feint your heavy, or you throw out your heavy as well. When you see that indicator, when you know that they're going to light after that feint cancel that'll show on their character because you know they're going to light, you can soft feint. Remember we talked about earlier, you can soft feint your top heavy into a dash forward and you can get a deflect on that light attack. So I'll say it once more. The Warden is going to throw out a heavy or an unblockable. It's going to be feinted. But when they throw it out, you're going to throw out a heavy as well, a top heavy, and you're going to soft feint dodge into their crushing counter light. Attempt a crushing counter. With Warden right now, you need to be careful because Wardens can back dodge into a shoulder bash, which you cannot guard break. So for example, if you are throwing out your unblockable top heavy mix-up and you cancel it into a guard break, they can dodge backwards and shoulder bash you. And there's not really much you can do about that. So be careful of it. As for the rest of Warden, honestly that's about it. Just be ready for those double dash side lights. Or not double dash, I'm sorry, double side lights. Another thing that's very easy parry bait on Warden right now is his forward dash heavy that he does. Usually at the start of a round, I'll kind of bait him out and I'll sit back waiting for him to do it because it's an absolutely free deflect if you can get it off, or once he gets it off. And that's about it for Warden. Moving on to Conqueror. He's a bit hard right now also with his bashes. What you can do is a lot of Conquerors will try and full block stance you. So if you're standing back, you can throw out a side dash attack with that, so be quite far away from them. And then once you throw out that heavy, they're going to try and full block you. So you just side dash attack, throw out the heavy, and then do your guard break, cancel that heavy, and do your guard break, and that's a free guard break for you. Another thing you can do is if you see the Conqueror throw out the heavy, which you can soft feint into a bash, definitely you need to try and dodge those. You can dodge it on reaction. The only thing is that you have to wait a second or just a half a second after he turns orange. If you dodge right as he turns orange, he can still track and hit you, unfortunately. The other thing for Conqueror is he gets a confirmed light after his bash. Just be ready for that. Just block the other lights. With Reflex Guard, unfortunately on Berserker and most assassins, if you start trying to buffer parries, you're going to be late every time. So if that starts happening to you and you get light spammed, let the one hit you and be ready for the next one. I think that's about it for Conqueror. Peacekeeper, moving on to Peacekeeper. Again, similar to Warden, she has that dodging forward attack. Be ready for it. It's an easy deflect. Try and bait it out. Sit back a little bit. A Peacekeeper will generally try and throw out a zone, and from the zone, she'll try and cancel it or soft cancel it into a bleed. Get ready to not parry it, but just block it. If Peacekeeper gets a deflect onto you, continue your chain because you will have hyper armor and you can actually hit her out of the deflect. It's very strong, very powerful. One of the benefits of using Berserker is that you can constantly have that hyper armor and you can trade. Moving on to Lawbringer. Lawbringer is rather tough, especially at the higher levels because he turtles quite hard. What you can do is if he is shove block spamming, so when he blocks attack, he'll shove you. That light that he will throw after that, you can dodge. So if you dodge instantly on the shove, you can dodge his light. The catch is that he can also decide to not throw the light. He can guard break you after the shove. If this starts happening, you change your dodge into a dodge attack. So he's going to shove you, you dodge attack. Again, if he starts waiting, if he just shoves and he just does nothing and waits to parry that dodge attack, then you're going to have to cycle through one of the three options. It's kind of a guessing game on both of your parts to see what he's doing and try to respond to it. As for that, it's just a ton of feints. Use your opening heavy feints into a light. If he's really turtling really hard, stand back a little bit, whiff your first light into the unblockable mix-up, and see if you can get a reaction out of him that way. Moving on to Centurion, he's one of my favorites to play against because he's quite easy to play against as Zerk. If he tries to kick you, that's very easy to dodge and reaction. And if you do, always dodge attack because he can't recover from it in time to do anything about it. So you dodge attack and then straight into an unblockable mix-up or a side heavy feint into a light because they'll try and parry that side heavy you throw after the dodge attack. As for that, just block on Centurion. Like, you really don't have to do much else. Parry if it's an unblockable. Be ready for the feint, the charged heavy into guard break feints. Otherwise, it's just sitting back and blocking, throwing out some lights, do your unblockable mix-up. A lot of Centurion mains and players are very parry happy. You may have to throw out quite a few heavy feints into lights, especially on the openers and after your side dodge attacks. In the beginning of the rounds, Centurion has that leaping heavy that he can do. Do the same thing, but with your light attack dodge, your dodge attack, forward dodge attack light, because that will give you hyper armor, and from that it beats the Centurion jumping heavy, because after the jumping heavy the Centurion does, he's going to try and punch you, and if you continue your chain after that dodge forward light attack that you do, it'll cancel out his punch. Very easy to do. Centurion, in my opinion, is one of the easier matchups against Zerk. Moving on to Gladiator. Gladiator can be quite difficult sometimes, just because of the mix-up potential that Gladiator has. Be ready for the toe stabs. They're pretty dodgeable on reaction. Something that Gladiator can do is if he punches you, right after that punch that he does, he's going to throw out a heavy. He can cancel that heavy into a guard break. He can cancel that heavy into a toe stab. So just be ready for multiple options that he can do. The great thing is he also has the forward jumping attack that Zerk does, except yours has hyper armor. So you can usually trade with him very easily, and you can beat him with it because he'll go straight into your mix-up. Obviously, be careful of the zone. Yeah, it's kind of a broken move at the moment. It's quite hard to fight against. Not much I can say about that part. Otherwise, try and trade a lot with Gladiator. You will come out on top. If he's throwing out lights, throw out lights with him. If he's throwing out heavies, throw out heavies with him. You can, because of your hyper armor, you can trade very easily with Gladiator. If he starts waiting to parry you, work on your heavies or your heavy feints. Throw out his zone occasionally against him. You'll be able to beat him pretty easily. Okay, Knight's done. We're going to go on to Vikings. So with Raider, every Raider loves to throw out a heavy or an unblockable into the stunning tap. If he starts doing that very predictably, you can start looking for deflects off of that stunning tap, that top light that he will throw, that soft fainted top light. Deflect that if you can. If not, block it. There is a moment that you will find after playing against Raiders enough that you'll know the parry timing on the unblockable. So I don't even bother blocking on the left side for that, your left side for that unblockable. I always have my guard top, just in case he does it, and then I move it accordingly if I notice that the unblockable is coming out a lot later than it should if he's going to feint it. As for the beginning of a duel, be ready for him to do the stunning chart or the running stampede at you. It's very easily dodged into a dodge attack. With Raider, be careful of the guard breaks that he can do, because usually you'll run out of stamina quite fast if you're constantly doing this unblockable mix-up, and you'll try and back dodge to recover stamina. Be careful of that. Raiders tend to try and guard break you a lot more than other characters. I would say Centurion and Raider are about on the same level of just wanting to guard break you, and maybe Shigoki. Be ready for it, and watch your dodges. Moving on to Warlord. Again, similar thing where if he does the forward headbutt, side dodge attack it, what you can do is you can feint a heavy if he's trying to full block you. Feint the heavy, go for the guard break. It's free if he's trying to full block. He will usually throw out a heavy once he's in full block. From your right side, you can deflect that if he's being predictable with it. Some Warlords like to zone a lot. Don't backdash if that happens, because the zone on Warlord will track you if you try and backdash with Zerk. Might be for other heroes as well, but I'm not sure. What you can do with with Zerk, is you need to be careful sometimes, because let's say you feint a heavy or you throw out a heavy, sometimes the Warlord will let that heavy rip. He'll let it go and he'll get hyper armor off of that. That will take you out of some of your combos. Be careful on it. That's about all I have for Zerk. If he tries to do the unlock tech, you can usually throw out a light to try and stop it, as well as just kind of getting lucky, I guess, for the unlock tech. It's a bit strong on Warlord right now. Moving on to Berserker. I never liked the Berserker versus Berserker matchup. I always thought it was very difficult to deal with, only because usually in this situation you have to wait, because what will happen is you both have hyper armor, and if you start to swing at each other, it's just this big, not a wet noodle, a very heavy noodle fight, because you'll end up whacking each other, and it's whoever kind of hit first is going to get the combo to keep going. So what you can usually do is, if that starts happening, you can condition him to that, so he thinks, okay, that's going to be constantly happening. So in the next round or later on in your next trade with him, cancel your mix-ups, cancel your combos, and just wait for him to throw out that heavy, or wait for him to throw out that light, because it's coming. For Zerk, usually they're quite happy on doing the dodge attacks. So just feinting a heavy from opening will cause him to do a dodge attack. Free parry, it's a light parry, so you get your top heavy. Moving on to Valkyrie. Right now, I think she's quite strong after her rework. I guess a lot of people don't, but she's going to go for that jumping heavy as well. Get ready for a deflect. She can bash after a light. So if you dodge that, be ready for another light after it, because it'll be very hard for you to guard break her out of that bash that she does, because she's going to follow it up with a light. Be ready for it. You know it's coming. You know what to do. As for her sweep, dodge her sweep if you can. What you can do, because if she jumps back into her full block stance, keep swinging with Zerk, because you will start to track her, and when your tracking eventually reaches a point where it's going to be close enough to her, she's going to let her kind of bash loose to try and hit you, and if you're mid-attack, you're going to hit her out of it. It's very easy to do. Just be ready for it.
Moving on to Highlander. I always like fighting Highlanders right at the beginning because a lot of them like to do the Celtic Curse. It's a very easy deflect, usually from the side. The thing you need to be careful of with Highlander is his heavies when they get unstoppable, because that will cancel your combos. If you just start trading and hitting your Highlander, and he throws out a heavy, it's going to stop you. So be ready for that. You may have to cancel mid combo, like cancel or feint one of your combos so that you can parry it. Be careful of it. Another wonderful thing with Zerk is that you beat any of his kick into grabs. As soon as you see him turn orange, dodge attack. He will not be able to hit you, grab you, or kick you out of it, and it's free damage and it's free into your unblockable mix-up or from your feinting heavies. Another thing with Highlander is if you see him go defensive stance, just throw out a light. It's really easy. There's not much you can do for it. Moving into Shaman. She can be quite difficult to play against because of just how many options she has. A lot of the shamans will just throw out a zone into the bleeding soft feint. Be ready for that. Another thing they can do, that you can do, is your side dodge attack beats her heavy side dodge attack. I think, in my opinion, Zerker's side dodge attack is one of the better ones compared to everyone else. Definitely yours will hit first before hers if you do it. Hers is a lot shorter range as well, so you can do it from much further away and it'll track her and hit her. A lot of shamans will, once they get the bleed on you, obviously you know that the guard break is coming. Be ready for it. Stay cool. Just know that there's probably going to be a jump coming very shortly. They might use that to their advantage and start just hitting you with attacks. Do the best you can on that. I would always, against a shaman, do that jumping forward light into the unblockable mix-up and to a side light, because you can usually catch them if they're trying to do a dodge attack. Moving on to the samurai into Kensei. Kensei can be a difficult one, just because of the mix-up potential he has. Always be ready for the top light that he will throw, because it does a ton of damage. You can usually read when he's going to do the pommel strike if his heavy just kind of feels like it's coming out much longer than it should. A lot of Kenseis you can bait into the side dodge attack, again, by doing your opening heavy and just canceling it and waiting to see if he does it. Something that you need to be careful of is sometimes when you throw out anything and you feint it into a side light, because of the range that Kensei has on a side dodge attack, your light might whiff and his side dodge attack will go through. Be careful of that. It might happen. If it does start to happen, just instead of throwing out a light, just cancel the heavy and wait for him to throw out his side dodge attack. Another thing with Kensei is sometimes you can light him out of his unblockable mix-up if you know it's coming. And I'd say that's about it for Kensei. Moving on to Shigoki. This is always a fun one because it's a battle with hyper armor. Typically, if you can continue your chain fast enough, you can just hit him out of most things and you can take away his hyper armor, because your attacks your second attack comes out quite quickly, so you can get past his hyper armor very easily. If you need to guard break him, even if he counter guard breaks, it'll still take away his hyper armor. I would try not to parry against a Shigoki unless you can tell it's a light. If he's light spamming you a lot, parry those lights. Watch out for the charged heavies. Again, I wouldn't recommend parrying those charged heavies. Be careful fighting him against the wall. If he guard breaks you, he'll go for the Demon's Embrace. Honestly, fighting Shigoki is kind of just getting your lights in. That's really all it is. After your feinting heavies. Moving on to Orochi. He's one of my favorites to fight because of how easy he is with Zerk. Pretty much everything you do as Zerk just destroys Orochi's ability. If he tries to do the step back, so for fighting Orochi, what you want to do is just throw out attacks, just constantly throw out attacks. Because of the hyper armor that you're going to get and the unstoppable you're going to get, anything you do is going to just totally poop on an Orochi. If he decides to step back and do I think it's the Zephyr Strike or whatever it is, the thing where he like holds his sword back and runs at you. If you're attacking, one of your attacks is going to connect and hit him out of it. Super easy. If he starts to light spam, try and block it. A lot of Orochis are also extremely dodge attack happy, and they're also extremely parry happy. So if you notice he starts to just parry everything, I'm going to show you a clip at the end of this where the Orochi tried to parry my heavies 3 times in a row. I feinted 3 heavies in a row, and he tried to parry every single one of them. It was ridiculous. Get ready to feint a heavy, even at the beginning, just feint a heavy as you walk up to him in a duel. Wait for him to throw out the dodge attack, and it's a free light parry. You can, if he's doing the dodge backwards attack, where he steps back and then hits you forward, sometimes your dodging forward light attack will miss, but what you can do is you can do if you know it's going to happen, and if you know he likes to dodge backwards a lot, do the dodging forward heavy, because you'll get, again, hyper armor, and it'll track him far enough so that you can catch up to him and it'll clip him. And that's about it with Orochi. Moving on to Nobushi. Obviously, her lights are great. You can dodge the kick very easily. Followed up with a side dodge attack. It's pretty simple, honestly. I think Nobushi is quite easy to get off your heavy attacks with. Sorry, not your heavy attacks. I'm sorry, your deflex with. I think Nobushi is just a big trading game. If you can get off your hyper armor very easily with your feints and your lights, and your combo and your chain, you can start beating her. If she tries to hidden stance you, throw out another attack, like another heavy, for example, like 2 heavies in a row, because the second heavy will track her, and you've got hyper armor, and it'll go through whatever she throws after the hidden stance it'll clip her with the heavy, because it tracks her so well. Moving on to Shinobi. So a lot of Shinobis like to do the double light, obviously, which kind of sucks. I would maybe step back a little bit, whiff your side dodge attack, because it tracks him. If he tries to come forward, it's going to clip him. If he doesn't, you can just track him and go straight into your unblockable mix-up. A lot of Shinobis will try and do the double dash, but go for the guard break. We'll try and double dash and go for the kick. Be very careful, because his kick takes priority over you. If you throw out a light, if you throw out a heavy, and he throws out a kick, his kick will win, and he'll get that free heavy off of you. I would suggest just throwing out a light if he does the dash all the time, because the dash will hit him, and the light will go through before he can get the kick off, before he can get the animation off. If he's back dodging a lot, again, go for the forward dodge light or the forward dodge heavy, depending on the situation. That's about it, honestly. Be ready for the guard break after the backflip. Orochis like to do that a lot. I think that's about it. Moving on to Aramusha. He's quite easy, I think, in my opinion. Some very smart things that I have seen that Aramushas do, the higher tier Aramushas, what they will do, be careful of this if they start doing this. If you are doing your unblockable mix-up, let's say you whiff the first light, you do your unblockable, and then you cancel it into a light, and you keep doing that. So it's cancel, light, unblockable, cancel, light, unblockable, cancel, light. A good Aramusha that I've seen them do is they will blade blockade just after you do your unblockable feint, because they know that a light attack is coming, and they'll blade blockade it and get their combos off. Be ready for that. If they start doing that, react to it, obviously, and start feinting your unblockable into a guard break, because they won't be able to counter guard break once they blade blockade. A lot of Aramusha is just blocking his attacks, blocking top, because in order to continue his chain, he needs to fight top. You can usually get a very easy deflect off of Aramusha's dash forward side heavies and his dash forward side, or dash forward top heavy. Be ready for his zone attack. He can do the same thing as you with the forcing you to make a move, because he can cancel his second part of his zone, the unblockable part. If that happens, you can usually just feint. If he's looking for a parry, you can pretend to throw out that heavy, feint into a light, and it will go through faster than he can if he's trying to parry you. That's about it on all of the characters. Some things that, as I was talking, trying to remember, if someone is dodging back a lot, your forward dodged light will track them, and if they have dodged, they cannot block it. So it's free damage. So if you see someone dodging backwards a lot, dodge attack light them, and they won't be able to block it at all. Okay, lastly, here are a couple of clips just of me showing you what I mean about some of these feints against people that are very parry happy, as well as a couple other videos. Just, once you get so used to predicting people and what they're going to do, is some of the fun stuff you can do. I've only got a couple videos because I don't want to make the video too long. But yeah, other than that, hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if there's anything I missed out on, which I guaranteed I did. Hope you guys have a good time trying out Zerk. He's a really fun champ. He's my favorite champion or hero. And best of luck, guys. Keep spinning to win.
Ooh, the Soroshi's about to die, and the Zerk. Ooh, okay, I'm about to die, never mind. That's right, boy. That's right, boy. You better. Actually, you can chase him. I'm not gonna chase him. Actually, wait, I can maybe kill him. Never mind. Got him! Holy moly.
Nothing lost, Zone C.